It's the old man in the woods. Let's talk about life. Let's get real. Slip on your earbuds, turn up the volume in the car, or watch us on YouTube. Let's go. A lot of people have asked that I go ahead and explain my Revelation timeline, so here we are. I've often said that if you take 3 Bibles and you open one to Daniel chapter 9 through 12, open another one to Matthew 24, open another one to Revelation starting at chapter 6, and lay them out side by side, you'll see that Jesus was talking to John about the things that would come to pass. And he was clarifying what he had told John back in Matthew chapter 24 when he was on the earth. And all of that ties back to Daniel chapter 9. Now, the chapters in Revelation, some of them are in the timeline and some of them are just simply instructive chapters, as I've got outlined here. The instructive chapters are basically just giving you a glimpse into things that are happening behind the scene or things that are not necessarily part of the timeline or things that even happened before this timeline starts. The timeline is basically about the 7-year period of Daniel's 70th week. So here we go. If you look, you'll see chapters 1 through 4 are instructive. They're not in the timeline yet, but the timeline starts up with chapter 5 and 6. And then in chapter 7, we find some more instructive things. The timeline picks back up in 8 through 9, and then drops out again in 10 through 13. In 14 through 16, the timeline picks up again. And we have kind of a morphed thing here because 17 through 18 are instructive, but 16 through 21, which includes those two, are in the timeline. So it kind of goes in and out of the timeline on two chapters there. And then we finish up with chapter 22, which is totally instructive, and it's one of the most powerful chapters in the Bible. Moving down, we see that one prophetic week is 7 years. And during that week, it's divided into 2 3.5-year periods. But if you'll notice that on the Great Tribulation, he promised that those days would be shortened for the sake of the elect. Now, I've always said that the 6 seals and the 6 trumpets, although they were not blown or cracked open exactly simultaneously, they were in proximation with each other, and all of them happened within the same time period. And then we see where the 7th trumpet and the 7th seal is opened, and that signals the first resurrection, which is, as many people want to call it, the rapture. So the first 3.5 years, the Antichrist comes to power. He creates a covenant with the 10 nations that surround Israel. And then in the middle of the week, at the 3.5-year period mark, he breaks that covenant. And he goes in and he becomes the abomination of desolation. And the Great Tribulation occurs. And the saints are not gone yet. We don't go until the first resurrection or the rapture at the end of that period. But one thing about it, we will not face the red area if you are a believer in Christ. The day of the Lord, when the 7 bowls of wrath are poured out. Now that's my timeline. That's how I've seen it for several years now, after much study over the past 40-something years. And I hope this helps you, and if you want to save this, just take a screenshot of it with your phone or with your computer and save it to your files so you can refer back to it. And that's all for today. I hope that's helped you, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening in today. Look for us on the YouTube channel as well as all the major podcast platforms. Remember, Mike's books are all available on Amazon under his pen name, Michael Saunders. There's a link in the description. Enjoy one today. See y'all next time.